Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com. So I haven't really talked about like marketing apps and stuff in a while. I know I definitely have some videos on apps, on creating apps. You can probably find them here. But I got this email from Mitch, and he says, "Hi John, first of all, I'd like to thank you. It will make sense in a moment. After taking your course and watching many of your videos, also reading some books you recommended, like Millionaire Fastlane, you can check that out. I still recommend that book, really good book. I'm full of confidence I didn't have before and a ton of creative ideas. Anyways, as you know, I've been writing Android applications. I even published my first app, a very simple quadratic equation solver. And give me a link to it here. I'm on my way to making my second app, and I believe it'll be worth putting up for money, or at least some in-app purchases. I honestly believe that it has some respectable potential and may get hundreds of thousands of downloads if marketed correctly. I have a beta version almost done. Should be ready in a month or so. I'm contacting you because I'm a young, experienced business person and I'm in need of marketing advice. I know you're an intelligent businessman. I was wondering if you could give me any advice, perhaps even help me market my app. Of course, I would love to pay for your services. Let me know if you're interested and want to see the prototype, or at least a video of the prototype. Thanks for reading, and sorry for the long email." So Mitch, I thought I'd do a video answer so that I could talk about this. It probably doesn't make sense to pay me to help with the marketing of your app, because honestly, there's not a huge amount that I could really do to market the app, and that's what I want to talk about. So the thing is, with something like marketing an app, it's very difficult, right? Marketing an app specifically, because what are you going to do? I mean, what could you honestly do? Like, you could pay for ads. And you could pay for ads, it would work, except that apps really, unless you're charging a whole lot of money for the app, it's probably not going to pay for itself, right? Because let's say that you're using like Google AdWords or Facebook ads or something, you're paying like, let's say $1 a click, which is very low for most things. How many clicks are you going to need in order to make a sale? So maybe like, let's say that you got 10% of people that click to buy. That's really high. It's unlikely. So that would mean that, just looking at the simple math, you'd pay $100 in order to get 10 sales at maybe like $4 or $5 each, so $50, and you're going to pay the App Store the fee, the 30%. So you're going to make you're going to be in the negative, right? You're going to be negative. What is it like? Because if you made $50, or what we said, like $5 a download, let's say, and you have 10 downloads, so that's $50, and then you're paying the App Store 30% of that, but you paid $100 for the click, so you're more than negative $50 after all is said and done. So it's really hard to make money, doing advertising that way. So where does it leave you? So I think it leaves you into the organic advertising realm, which is to say that you've got to get people to come to you. I mean, you can do all kinds of things to try to advertise an app, but people are not usually going to respond to that very well, especially how many ads are out there. So marketing for an app, at least, in fact, I'm going to do a course on going from developer to entrepreneur. If you're interested, you can sign up, for early access to that course. I'll send you an email when it releases. That's sort of the next project I'm working on right now. But I thought this was a good subject to bring up. So I've talked about this a little bit before, but essentially one of my main strategies for marketing, I think today, that's most effective, especially if you're going to sell multiple products and you really want to build a business, is that you need to build an audience, and that's the key thing. And so, there's lots of ways to do this, right? I don't want to say like, obviously I've done this with Simple Programmer, and I continue to do this, and you're seeing it right now. I mean, doing these YouTube videos, doing free YouTube videos, right? I get a lot of subscribers. People come into the audience. They're eventually going to buy stuff from me, or they're just part of the audience. And when you're part of when you build an audience, the nice thing about that is what happens is that those are people that are going to probably follow you and probably even buy stuff that might be even unrelated, right, across a broad spectrum of things. Like I sell a lot of different stuff in Simple Programmer. I'll be selling more stuff, right? I'll have more products and stuff in different areas, probably in fitness and finance and in what I already have out there for your career and programming. But and a lot of people in my audience will buy many of those things, maybe all of those things. Some of them will buy all of those things because they like what I have to say, and they are fans of Simple Programmer, of my brand. And so I think that's really the most effective way, and it's a good long-term way. Now, it depends. Like I said, I've got more of a general audience with Simple Programmer because I've got a lot of different things that I'm doing. But you could also build a very specific audience. So if you have an app based on, let's say that your app was somewhere in the photography realm, right? You could build a blog and YouTube channel and things all for photographers. And that could all be free content that is basically going to push people towards your app, that you'll be able to market that app to them from there because they're coming and they're getting free resources. The best way to market anything, I think, is to give people some value first. You give them some free value, and then from that free value, they're going to want to pay for something to get more, to get an upgraded or enhanced experience, and they trust you already. It's really difficult to do sort of a cold call type of marketing, right, where you're just like, they don't know anything about you, and you're saying, I have this awesome app, or I have this awesome thing, and buy it, and you usually have to pay for that, where what I'm saying takes longer, it's going to have more benefit. And the other thing is, like, let's say that, again, there's two approaches to this, but let's say that we went down that photography, branch, and you're going to build an app on photography. Well, okay, so if you build another app or another product, or, probably something more expensive, like a video tutorial or something like that, you could sell to the same audience, right? You could reuse that. You're not starting from scratch. Whereas if you're just like if you're building apps and building applications, and you're just using some kind of paid marketing or something like that, where you're not building an audience, if you're doing a strategy where you're not building an audience, essentially, you got to start over when you build another product, and it might fail. A lot of the really successful serial entrepreneurs I know have basically carried their audiences over, even when they've worked on unrelated things. They had this sort of seed audience so that they couldn't fail. And yes, this takes some time, and yes, this takes effort to do. But once you have built this audience, you sort of have a business that will always work. You can always build a new product. You can always build something that people are going to buy. So that's really, what I'd recommend. And again, I said there's two ways of doing this. The one way, of course, is very specific, very niche focused. And the other way is more of a general one, like Simple Programmer, right? On this channel, you get all kinds of, it's not just programming advice, it's all kinds of life advice and stuff. So it's a very broad sort of thing here, but so I can sell a lot of different products. I have a lot of different ways to make money from Simple Programmer, from this business. It's harder, because it's harder to get people because they're not specifically searching for something. People are not specifically searching mostly for a lot of the topics I talk about. Some of them, yes, but most of them, no. So yeah, so this is really how I would recommend that you do the marketing for this. I don't know of another way that's going to be more effective, especially in the long run. This is going to take time. Expect that it's going to take some time to do this. That the primary thing that you're building is the audience. It's not the actual product itself. The products you can build, and I know as a developer, you want to build the product, but you got to be audience minded first. I think if you really want to be successful, if you want to take the luck out of it, because otherwise, you could have an app that goes viral. It's true. It's possible, but it's just unlikely, and you have to do a lot of legwork. If I were going to give you some other advice on how to do advertising, you could go and you could email all the review sites and make a list of all this, and contact all these people and try to get them to promote your stuff. But that'll be like a one-shot effort, because maybe it'll work and maybe it won't, and if it does, then you'll be successful for a time. But what happens when that popularity dies down and you stop getting the referrals from there, and then you don't have an audience? That's to me, that's a problem. So figure out who your audience is, where they hang out. You can get some kind of shortcuts, and I'm not going to go into all the details. I'll talk more about it in the course that I'm putting together on how to actually build that audience, because I know it seems a little bit vague now. There's some definite techniques you can use to build an audience, and to build up that audience, to find where the audience is, and stuff. But yeah, that's really what I would recommend here, Mitch. I know it's not 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 the best. Maybe not what you're hoping to hear, but it's hard, especially in the app. And the other thing I would encourage you is don't build your whole business on the App Store. I did this interview with Amir Rishan. I think we've got it on Simple Programmer. It might be I interviewed him on Get Up and Code. No, Entre Programmers and Get Up and Code. I don't know if I did Simple Programmer. So you can find one of those interviews here at least. And this guy had the #1 app in the App Store. In fact, I just talking to him. He's putting out a book now, which is smart because I bet the book will make more than the app, honestly, if it does well. But the App Store is hard, right? Because you're only selling things for a small amount of money, and Apple or Android's taking their cut, and there's so much competition out there. So I'm not saying don't build an app, but instead of thinking about like a product. Like one product. Again, I'm starting to get into some of the tech, some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about in that developer to entrepreneur course. But basically, instead of thinking about a product, think about an audience to serve, like a community to serve, like a need to serve, and you can serve that in multiple ways. And that's going to give you more than just an app, right? An app might be part of it, but it might be some video tutorials, it might be a book that you write, it might be some software as a service that you build that they pay a monthly fee for, right? Those, when you start thinking that way, then there's a lot more ways to make money, and you're going to be a lot more profitable. Whereas if you're talking about something that's like even an app that's like $5, in order to like make some serious money, you got to sell a lot. Like think about it. Like just do the math. Like $5 times 10 is 50. That's nothing. Times 100, you sell 100 of it. That's that's $500. That's nothing. You gotta sell 1,000 of it. Now you're at $5,000. Still not something to write home to mama at. And then 10,000. That's pretty dang hard. And you're only making 50 grand. You gotta sell 100,000 to make 500,000. Still, like, these are pretty big numbers. But let's say that you have some kind of product or service that you're gonna sell for like $500, right? Now you sell 10 of them. That's pretty good. $5,000. Sell 100 of them. You can do the math. You can figure it out. But you see what I'm saying? And especially if you have a bunch of other products that go along together in that same area, then someone can buy multiple of those things. And they might start with your lower cost product, and then they might buy a higher one. So that's that's how you really do this and build a long-term business. Is you don't focus just on the app, because it's so few people are going to make a lot of money on it. Again, going back to the Amir Rishan with the #1 app, he had the dark room, right? This dude, like when I talked to him, I said, man, he's got to be making a lot of money. And when he revealed all those numbers, he did not make a lot of money from having the #1 app in the Apple App Store for a long period of time, a good stretch of time. So that's hard. That's hard to do. And there wasn't that much money in it. So I don't want to discourage, making app, but again, don't plan on like becoming a millionaire from building an app. Have a better business model. Definitely do it for your resume to get jobs as well. That's a good reason. And you could build a portfolio of apps and make some decent money. But I would rather see you build an audience around some kind of niche, just like I recommend in the blogging course, and then build products around that if you really want to go the developer to entrepreneur route. And as a developer, you have the ability. You can create software. You can create a lot of things that other people wouldn't be able to do as easily. So long answer, but hopefully this helps you, Mitch. And if you got a question for me, email me at john@simpleprogram.com. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel. Talk to you next time. Take care.